Hey, we're back here at the studio in Cooper Creek Square, your one-stop shop in Winter Park, the town. 20 shops and restaurants. Be sure to check it out. Still hanging out with Gary DeFrange, president of Winter Park Resort. And Gary, you've been doing this a while. It's the 75th anniversary, big year. You've had a lot of challenges throughout the years. One of them, I think you'd still kind of see as you look across from the resort, across the highway, the pine beetle. A lot of trees kind of took an exit, and we had to do a lot of work at the resort to mitigate that.
We had a challenge, and we're working our way through it. The pine beetle was something very interesting. If you think about how forests are managed today, there's a lot of restrictions against prescribed burns, especially in an area like ours, which is near a metropolitan or a city, a town. But we're not allowed to log. You're not allowed to thin. We want the forest to sort of take care of itself. And that's exactly what the forest did. The pine trees, the lodgepole pine, were old trees. A healthy forest depends on disturbance. So it was time for those trees to go away.
When you have million-dollar homes throughout the trees, it becomes a little more of a challenge.
And, we had a dry period of time that gave the beetles a foothold, and they came in and they wiped out the trees.
And this was a process. This didn't just happen one year, right? I mean,
it happened over a period of time.
Trees that are still green that were actually dead. I mean, this has been a slow process for them to go through the whole
It took a long time, and we went through a lot of different iterations of things that we thought we could do that would stop the beetles. And everything we tried, nothing was successful.
Tried to counter it a little? I didn't realize that.
We tried to counter it a lot. There was a belief in the beginning when it started that if you cut the tree down, when you saw the beetle in there and you debarked it, because the beetles lived inside the bark and inside the tree, the beetles would die and they wouldn't go any further. Well, they were already infested into the other trees, and that didn't work.
So
spraying worked, but we couldn't spray 7,000 acres.
Yeah.
So ultimately, we lost about 1,000 acres of trees. Now, if you
1,000 acres, okay. How many skiable acres are at Winter Park?
So if you think about it, skiable acres are about 3,000, but our entire permit is about 7,600 acres. So what that tells you is, number one, there's a lot of areas where there's not trees, where the runs are.
Right.
Number two, there's a lot of spruce and fir, especially the more
and it didn't affect
Mary Jane. Those were not affected at all. It was the lodgepole pine. So we ended up with about 1,000 acres to mitigate. And we've been working on that over the last several years.
How many acres a year could you tackle?
It depends on how steep it is and how difficult it is to get to. Up until now, we've mitigated about 700 acres.
And this includes, I've seen helicopters flying in. Guys will cut them down on the sides of slopes.
As you get into the more remote areas, the steeper areas, we cut them and then the helicopters take them out.
How much has this cost the resort?
When it's all said and done, we'll have about $2 million into this.
$2 million. Is that of the resort's money, or is there some grants and aid as well?
There's some grants that went into it, but that's going to be our expense. Is about $2 million. Now, there's been a benefit. If you're a Mary Jane skier, and really all over the resort, there's a lot of great tree skiing today.
Those trees have gotten so thick, some areas you couldn't possibly
get through them. So now we've got some wonderful tree skiing. The remainder of the forest is going to be a lot healthier, and you can already see the new growth coming in. So we're going to have a healthier forest. I think we're another 2 or 3 years away from having completely gotten through all of the dead trees, and you absolutely want to take them out. When the trees die and the needles fall off the trees, the fire danger goes down. But over a period of about 10 years, what's remaining is going to fall on the ground.
Sure,
and
which
that's
is a danger in
just
itself.
A big fireplace.
And then a fireplace.
Yeah. And boy, if a fire ever starts, it's going to really be
And one plug we always push is now we're going to see some closed off sections right now that have been gladed. That looks like great skiing.
There are some areas that we want to regenerate, and the trees are already coming up, and if we ski them, we're going to cut the tops of the trees off.
So it's important to keep those areas, get them healthy enough so that you can ski around them as opposed to right over top.
And what you find and what you learn in this business is managing the forest is a process. It's not a destination.
Yep.
Every year there's something different that you have to do. And to be good stewards, you have to plan ahead, and that's exactly what we do. Doug Larrabee is the guy that in our resort, he does all of that for us. He's done an incredible job of staying ahead of it and planning, and we know what we're going to do years from now.
Well, we appreciate all you guys do with that, because it's been a monumental process. But with that, we're going to have to take a quick break again.
Very good.
Come back and chat a little more. Let's go see what's going on with the weather out there.